Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing the out-of-print entry into the Oniverse series, Urbion. Urbion is a game of balance. In fact, its original name was Equilibrion. The win condition for the game is to claim all 12 of the city cards, so you always have 4 out at a time, and you claim them by creating balance between negative and positive dreams on each side of the card. For example, all the cities here are currently not balanced. You have -3 on one side, +2 on the other. Here we have a +3 and nothing on the other side. Here we have -6 with nothing on the side. And here we have -3 and +1. So our goal is to play dream cards, get these cities in balance, and then attempt to claim them and score points. Gameplay is relatively simple, but the game itself is not that easy. You're always working with a hand of 4 cards, and usually the cards in your hand are going to be dream cards, some with positive values, some with negative values. And then with your hand, you have a choice on each turn. You can either play a card from your hand to one side of these cities, so negative dreams on the left, positive dreams on the right, or you can choose to discard one of your cards in order to either do a balance check and try to claim some cities, or to manipulate some of the cards on one side or the other of your city cards. So for example, let's say that I'd like to create a little bit of balance with this city here. I'm going to be able to play this positive dream card to this side of the city. And so now it's -6 to +4. I've moved a little bit closer towards balance. Then I would draw up, so I'd draw another card to complete my hand of 4, and then I'd keep playing. One thing to notice is that while these initial cards are part of setup, so every time you draw a new city, you pull 2 dream cards from the deck and set them up, and it doesn't matter what symbols are on them. When you're in actual gameplay, the element symbols in the top corners of the cards do matter. The symbols are basically the 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. And each city is going to have 2 elements displayed on it, and those represent the cards that you're able legally to place next to those cities from your hand. So while these dreams have an air symbol on them and that symbol is not in the city, these were placed at setup. I can only play this one here because it has a fire symbol to match the city card that I'm playing it with. Your other option when playing it from your hand, rather than place a card, is to discard a card. So let's say that I feel like there's just too many negative cards on the board and I would like to discard this card. So I can discard it. And that enables me to do one of 2 things. I can either do a balance check and claim city cards. However, none of my cities are balanced right now, so I'm not going to want to do that. Or I can choose to switch cards on one side or the other of my cities. So let's say that I would really like to kind of get a little closer to this -3. So I want to switch 2 of the cards over here. Maybe I would like to switch this +2 and this +1. So now I've changed the balance a little bit, so I'm at +2 to -3, and maybe I think I can play a +1 here next turn. And then you'll draw up and continue play. However, things are never going to be that easy. This is, after all, an Oniverse game. Sometimes when you draw, you not only don't get what you want, but you get something that actively forces you to lose something and make difficult choices. In Urbion, the cards that make you do that are chaos cards. Chaos cards are particularly nasty because they give you some horrible choices. Whenever you draw one, you can do one of 3 things. Your first option is to play this chaos card next to a city card. However, you'll notice that it has 2 values on it, +5 and -5. And wherever you choose to play your chaos card, you have to play it on the side that's already dominant. So for example, if I was going to play it to this city here, I can't play it to the positive side, which has a +4. I'd have to put it on this side, which is -6, which means that I'd have to push it all the way down to -11. Alternatively, if I was going to put it up here, this would be 0 on this side, and I'd end up with a +7 on the positive side. So the chaos cards can really throw off the balance of your cities, especially if you're working really hard to bring them all into line. Your second choice is to discard the chaos card, but if one of my cities were balanced, I would have to discard all of the dream cards on both sides of that city. A city with no cards to the sides of it is not considered a balanced city. It's just a city that doesn't have any dream cards. So basically the chaos card forces you to undo all of your hard work and get rid of the dream cards that you place so carefully to balance a city out. The other horrible choice that you could make with a chaos card is to draw the first 4 cards of your dream deck. All of the ones that are dream cards, you have to discard from the game, which means that you're losing time and you're losing resources from your draw deck. If there are any chaos cards in those 4 cards, you have to resolve them as if you just draw them normally, which means that if you're very unlucky, you can resolve a chaos card, decide to get rid of some cards from your draw deck, and then end up resolving more chaos cards depending on what was sitting up there at the top. So it's pretty brutal. The other fun catch of the game is that because you have to discard a card and choose to do a balance check to claim a city that's in balance, you might choose to wait, because if you can balance all 4 of these cities and then do your balance check, you actually claim all 4 of these city cards plus an extra one from the deck. So the temptation to wait until you can make a very big play is huge. However, knowing that there are chaos cards in the deck that'll mess you up puts a little bit of pressure on you to maybe make your move a little sooner instead of trying to wait and math it out and then get all the cities at once. So there's a push your luck element to the game as well. Although, and I'm very sorry to say this, Urbion has not received that bigger box deluxe treatment that other games in the Oniverse have gotten, it does come with a couple of mini expansions, even in its very slender box. One of those expansions is called the Books of Powers expansion, and basically what it allows you to do is introduce some special powers to the game. However, for every power that you introduce, you also lose cards from your dream deck, so you have to take some risks and hope that it pays off. The other expansion introduces 4 new cities, which have all 4 symbols on them, as well as some dream cards that can be played for both positive and negative values depending on what you feel you need at the time, to give you a little bit more flexibility. And that's how Urbion works. And now for some final thoughts. As I mentioned before, Urbion is currently out of print. And what that means is that there is no deluxe edition like there is for all the other Oniverse games, and it's very difficult to get a hold of. I personally had to get my copy off of eBay with rules in French. That said, I decided to review it anyway because I wanted to have a complete set of reviews of games from the Oniverse. I felt that would be a useful thing to have, so this review is more, I guess, archival than about a game that I expect you to go out and buy. So is that something you should be super disappointed about? Well, let's find out. First, the good. I personally think that Urbion has a lot of good points. I think the thing that makes it the most exciting is actually the push your luck aspect of the game, where if you can get all 4 cities into balance at once and then check for balance, you can pick up an extra city card and score extra. And going for that special reward and trying to gamble on how far you can push it before really it would be a good idea to do a balance check is for me a lot of the fun in the game. I also really enjoy trying to play the cards well, trying to be aware of what's in the deck, and trying to manipulate by discarding cards what is on either side of the city cards. So I like that you can exchange the good and bad dreams as an attempt to kind of mess with the totals that are on the city cards. I also, as with Onirim, like that when you pull one of the chaos cards, you get to choose one of the bad things that happens to you. So attempting to make that choice and dealing with that extra frustration is entertaining for me, and one of the things that I think gives the Oniverse its special flavor, which is that for every good thing that comes, there's something bad, and also that a lot of times something bad will happen to you and you have to choose in what way it's going to be bad. So all of those elements are there, they're all strong, and it makes Urbion good fun to play. I do also have some concerns about it, however. I think the main one is that, much like Onirim, it's entirely possible to just not be able to win because of the cards that come out, but I think that in Urbion that's a little bit more frustrating. You can usually see the end coming earlier, so you can know that a game is pretty much done early on, depending on how things go. And it just sort of feels like, even though you get to choose what bad thing happens to you when you draw a chaos card, there just isn't as much that you can do to mitigate your bad luck. You just have to sit there and take it. And it's a quick card game, it's entertaining, but I can see that being something very frustrating, especially if you lose several times in a row because things just aren't working out. My other concern is that I do think the iconography is not as sharp as other games in the Oniverse. So the cards in Urbion have the same art that all the other Oniverse games have, and I love that art. I think they look cool, but those element symbols that appear on the city cards and that you have to match to the dream cards you play, to me, it's not that they're not clear, but they can be a little bit difficult to see, so I have to really focus on what I'm looking at, and they get a little bit lost in the busyness of the colorful art that surrounds them on the rest of the card. So I feel like the iconography could have been done a little bit better. Overall, Urbion is a good card game, and I really enjoy it. I'm glad it's in my collection because I'm an Oniverse fan. But if you're feeling some FOMO because you don't have a copy of it, I think I would say don't freak out too much about that. In the end, Urbion is a good game, but it's just another card game, and there are a lot of very good card games out on our market right now. So if Urbion isn't a game that you have, and it's not a game that you think that you should splash out the money for, I think you're probably right. If it were to get republished right now in one of those deluxe Oniverse editions for $20-something, I would say absolutely go get it. But at the prices that I'm seeing now, it's a perfectly good game, but it's not one that you need to panic over. I would give it about a 7 out of 10. Happy gaming.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.